We had Matt Miller on last week, and I asked Matt Miller, what would the Browns do if this scenario unfolded? He had mocked Carnell Tate to the Browns at 6. Carnell Tate has taken top 30 visits with other teams in the top 5 ahead of the Browns. There's a chance Tennessee with a young quarterback in Cam Ward could take Carnell Tate at number 4 to give them a number 1 receiver moving forward. The Giants have Malik Neighbors and nobody else in their receiving court. Tate has visited the Giants. He could be gone at number 5. So in this scenario, guys, if you were Andrew Berry and the first 5 picks of the draft played out like this, what would you do? If it looks like this, Steve, you want to take it? Mendoza's going 1. In this scenario, David Bailey goes 2 to the Jets. Arvell Reese goes 3 to the Cardinals. Carnell Tate off the board at 4 to Tennessee. Jeremiah Love, the Notre Dame running back, off the board at 5 to the Giants. If this is how the first 5 picks play out, Zach, Jason, and Jay, Zach, what would you do at number 6 here if you were Andrew Berry and the Cleveland Browns?
Well, I think I would follow the option, which the Browns' top option, I've strongly believed for months, is to trade down. Right? They're a rebuilding team. There is no knockout in any of those, and that's kind of the mystery / reason there's probably not a lot of juice for this draft right now. Right? So you're in position to either trade down and then address one of your needs, or you're in position to take the very best lineman. And I think Daniel Jeremiah mocked Spencer Fano. Dane Brugler's guide came out last week. His number 1 lineman is Spencer Fano. He's only played left tackle 1 year. He's a good athlete. He's 21. He fits everything that the Browns want. So it's pretty comfortably, to me, their trade or Spencer Fano, and I think they would be fine taking Spencer Fano in that situation.
I'm all about trade down. I've been all about trade down, but the problem is you need a partner to trade up, and I don't know that there's anyone who's going to want to.
Just like we don't want the pick, there's probably not anybody else clamoring to get it.
Yeah, now that 5 leaves the possibility that some team would want Downs or Styles.
Yeah.
Right, and then you're looking at teams like Cincinnati at 10, Dallas at 12 that would come. So we finally broke through the Browns-Bengals trade. There had never been a Browns-Bengals trade ever made until last year when they shipped Joe Flacco out the day after they got back from London. So maybe we've broken that down. You know, I think Carnell Tate is going to go at 6 to the Cleveland, 8 to New Orleans, or 9 to Kansas City. So if he goes at 4, now you have a shift in priorities across multiple draft rooms, and now the trade lines are probably more open than they seem to be.
I'm not at all against taking a defensive player. I know some people that's outrageous and ridiculous too, but
really,
but I'm not against it at all.
Well, you killed them last year for going offense.
No, I said, what did you think was going to happen when you trade down from 2 to 5 and you spend your top 2 picks on defensive players? What do you think is going to happen? But I didn't think they're trying to win last year. So I'm seriously.
Yeah, look, that you can spin that into a decent case, right? I've been pretty strong that this team needs offense. Like, this is a unique situation.
They desperately need offense.
Right. But if you say we don't love any of these linemen, we've added some real experience and versatility and spent big for on Elton Jenkins, on Zion Johnson, and Titus Howard, right?
But they can't think that their line's ready to go.
No, but they could say, hey, this is going to be an evolving thing. We've still got Zinter and Whippler under contract, right? We've invested at least a little bit in these guys.
Yeah.
Like, if we take this player here, we get back into the offensive line business later. Like, there are guys who are true left tackles who are going to go later. There are guys who can start at center for you for 5 years who are going to go in the 2nd, 3rd round. So you could spin that. It's going to be hard, but there is a scenario to where you could take David Bailey or Caleb Downs at 6 and say we are still going to address our offensive line going forward.
It'd be Sonny Styles for me over Caleb Downs. Do you agree or disagree?
I strongly disagree. He's a linebacker.
Well, there's a need there.
Yeah, there is, but you have a guy that you think is going to be your star linebacker for the next 5 years now in Carson Smith.
Yeah, you do. But it would be nice if you had a tandem.
Here's the thing for me.
But the position has been devalued.
This guy's a freak, right? Like, this is adding another Myles Garrett. He just lines up in a different spot.
Yeah.
You know,
I just would take premier elite talent over a guy to fill a need. And I'm not saying Caleb Downs is that, but I'm a tackle. Like, okay,
you don't think Caleb Downs is, though? I think they both are.
No, I think Caleb Downs can be. I just think Sonny Styles can have more impact than Caleb Downs, but I could be wrong.
If you believe that the Browns are still just athletic testing driven, upside driven, like you look at Sonny Styles and you're like, okay, that's a guy they would want out there, right?
Yeah,
like you're going to put him in. You're playing for the future anyway. He's going to figure it out.
It's so wild.
Yes, he has this linebacker position, but he can line up in multiple
These
spots.
draft philosophies pull at one another. On one hand, best available. On the other hand, you got to go to your needs. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, how do you pass on a guy that is a freak?
Yeah.
And maybe one of one. Regardless of the position, they're all important at some point in time. I don't know. I've always been against trading down. I've never loved it because it's sort of like I said this last week. It feels like you're pushing Christmas to January 11th. Like you're sitting there, you run downstairs, you're ready to dig into the presents, and then last second they're like, oh, hold on, we're moving Christmas to January 11th. No,
You're right. Look, the Browns have a perception problem, and they know it. But why do they have it? Well, because the offense has crashed, because they made the worst trade in history,
Right.
because it's a hard sell on all fronts here. So how are they going to change that winning eventually? Drafting good players.
Yeah.
Nobody was throwing a parade over Carson Schlesinger last year.
They were not.
Right? Everybody looked at the Judkins pick and said, why not the other guy? They're off to a good start. Like,
Sure.
I think Schlesinger and Fannin specifically can be really good players.
Sure.
So let's see going forward where they go. You could sell this, but the Browns are not going to win any perception battles on the night of April 23rd is what I'm trying to say.
No, they can't. The home run that we want them to hit
Yeah.
just isn't there.
Yeah. And to be clear, like I think Carnell Tate or Jeremiah Love is the pick at 6. We're just going under the scenario where those guys are already gone. I'm not sitting here advocating you need to take a defensive player. I'm just saying under this scenario, if those guys are gone, I would rather have premium elite talent over just trying to fill a need with someone who is not as good, because that's how you wind up getting fired. And that's how you wind up taking, well, all of the guys that the Browns have drafted for the last 20 years.
This is such a development thing. Look, they drafted Jed Wills, and he was fine. He never got any better. They drafted Greg Newsome. He did get a little bit better. He ultimately was in a spot to where they needed to move on. It wasn't necessarily his fault, but he never ascended to true number one cornerback.
Right, no, he did not.
Martin Emerson had a great first 2 years, and he tailed off and he got hurt. So whoever it is, it needs to be a guy to get better. So maybe you just take in that situation, take the best tackle. Wherever he plays on September 15th or even November 15th this year, Jay, isn't as important. Is that guy developing and becoming a cornerstone offensive lineman?
Right, yeah, and trying to get the most out of them over the long haul. Maybe not, like you said, not at the beginning of the career, but certainly later. And sometimes we don't always have the judgment 1 year after the draft. This year we do. I think you're right. With Fannin, we know we've got the guy. Schlesinger clearly is the guy. I think Judkins is. The injury kind of throws a curveball in there. But there are many drafts where even after year one, the grade's still incomplete because you don't know. What we want to see is take a player and on the arc and the progression, you see that he's clearly getting better year to year.
That's perfectly fine. When you look at this list, Proctor and Freeling, those are Andrew Berry picks. Those are guys who have flaws, but they have upside. They have the traits to eventually hit. It just hasn't happened here with any of these picks. I think it was happening with JOK, obviously, and his career was cut short.